we have Mr. Stephen Waguespack. He is running for governor here in the great state of Louisiana. We call him Wags here. So Wags, how you doing, man? What's going
I'm good,
on?
man. What's going on? How you doing today?
It's wet. It's wet, but
Hey,
we
that's
needed
a
it.
good thing, though. That's a good thing, man. We need it. The farmers need it. The river needs it. We got to push that soil down, everything. So it's all good as far as I'm concerned.
Oh man, and look, I'd rather it be wet than hot. Now it depends on the type of work we do. As you know, we drive dump trucks, but
Yeah.
too much wet weather's bad. But a good wet weather gives us a day off, and we just go ahead and go
Man,
with
we
it.
just had like about an hour or two of wet, and you're already talking about it be. Come on, man. We've had like 3 months without rain.
Yeah, we need some good weather, man.
Yeah, talk
But
to the crawfish farmers. They'll tell you they're worried about what's underneath there, man. They need some moisture right now.
well, and look, to be honest with you, Wags, the economy's bad, and unfortunately, here in Louisiana, we're suffering. There's not a lot of work right now, man, and that's that bad thing. And I think that's one thing you want to try to fix if you get elected governor.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, look, I'm a first-time politician, and while I've been around the game a long time, the truth is, the first time I've ever run for office. And if you'd asked me about a year or two ago if I was ever going to run, I'd have said no. But the reason that changed for me is I think Louisiana's at a pretty tough spot right now. I think we're at a true crossroads, and there's no more tread water for Louisiana. We either move forward with this election or we go backwards. And I just can't sit by and watch the state I love, spiral out of control. So, yeah, I'm in this because I think I want to bring conservative values and turn them into conservative solutions. That means growing jobs. That means training our kids for jobs today. That means lowering the heavy weight of government and everything we do and let people just kind of live in a free market society. It's stopping the brain drain. It's not just stopping our kids from leaving for Texas. It's ideally starting to steal from Texas. And I mean, it's all that things and more. So that's why I got in. So yeah, I'm an old-fashioned, small market, pro-job, conservative Republican who likes to fix problems, and that's kind of what I want to do if I get in there.
And like you said, you've been in this game for a while. You were Governor Bobby Jindal's chief of staff at one time, correct?
Yeah. So look, I grew up in Gonzales in Ascension Parish, lived there as a kid, went to LSU. After LSU, I went to D.C. for about a decade, quite frankly. And I was working up on Capitol Hill, went and got my law degree at night. My wife and I got married. We had kids, all that stuff up there. But look, what happened was in 2005, when Katrina and Rita hit, it really, obviously impacted the state in so many ways. Well, I'm married to a New Orleans girl. And so all her family was displaced. It made us want to come home and be part of it. We wanted to be part of that rebuild. And yeah, I was recruited by Bobby to come down and be part of that 2007 campaign and work in his first term. And in that first term, I was the policy guy, and then I was the executive counsel, and then I was chief of staff at the end of the first term. And so, that was a interesting term because we were recovering from Katrina and Rita. We were bringing conservative solutions in there, man. We were reducing the size of government. We were cutting taxes. We were growing jobs. We were getting our people back from other states. We were growing as a population. We revamped our workforce. We were passing historic education reforms the rest of the country was trying to copy. But at the same time, the Great Recession hit us like every other state. Housing market crashed. Oil prices went from way high to way low overnight. It was a tough time, man. And so at the end of that first term, the people forget at this point is at the end of that first term, Bobby was reelected. He won in the primary every parish in this state. He won with like 65% in the primary, not the runoff, the primary. And so he was rolling. Now, I stepped down about 6 months into the second term. I went to go lead the State Chamber of Commerce, known as Lobby, and, kind of went off to do my thing early on the second term. The second term had a different script. Everyone's got their own opinion of that, but I wasn't there for a big chunk of that.
Hey, see, that's why I was going to ask you, because you have a lot of commentators here in the state of Louisiana, a lot of people. And look, I sent you a text message. I had a YouTube subscriber that unsubscribed to me because I wore your cap on screen. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, man.
And they went ahead and they were making a point. Well, Waguespack, he was a Gendo guy, this and this. But you weren't there when Bobby started messing up because a lot of conservatives tell me that the first Gendo term was good for Louisiana was when he got to wanting to be president and he wanted to further his agenda. So you weren't even part of that administration with the deficit and all.
Well, and look, my opponents in this race, from the right and the left, quite frankly, they've spent a lot of money attacking me in this race. And so obviously I'm a threat to kind of their game plan, and they're attacking me with Bobby's what they're doing. And look, in the first term, I'm proud of my record, and I'll put my record up against anyone because I think it's been a strong record. I'm proud of the people I served with, people like Liz Murrill, who's right now, one of the candidates in Attorney General, who's, right now, Jeff Landry's top deputy. She was my deputy in the first term when I worked there. You had people like, so many other folks throughout that administration who did great heroic work. And I'm proud of all those people and the job they did. At the end of that first term, we were known as one of the most strongest governors in the country at that point in time. I did step down early in the first year of the second term. The second term got crazy a little bit and people got frustrated. And what happened is history has a way of rewriting itself over time. And over the last decade, people have said, oh, the whole thing was a problem and all stuff. The truth is that is a lie. And my opponents know that's a lie. The first term, there was a lot of things to like there back there. If you were conservative, if you were any Louisianan, again, we were growing jobs. We were growing people. We were stealing people from other states. We were cutting taxes. We were controlling the growth of spending. We revolutionized the charity hospital system, turned it into a private-public partnership that improved healthcare for everyone. We actually had workforce clicking back then. We were training our kids for the jobs today. Other states were copying us all around the country on education reforms. We had the spotlight of the country looking at us, wanting to copy everything we do. So there's a lot of stuff that happened that first term. It's all forgotten in history, and it's all washed over with some of the attack ads coming on me. But look, that's politics. I'm not whining about it, but it's my job to kind of remind folks that there's a tale of two terms there. And the first term, I'm proud of my service there. The second term, you can do it and say what you want. I stepped down about 6-7 months in that first term, and so I wasn't there for a big chunk of that.
And that's where a lot of people don't do their research, Stephen. It goes to a point that, a lot of people like me, I talked to you guys. We met at a political event, two of them. We got a chance to talk, and because I was hearing that, and I had to remind myself that I had to go and do research, and that's why a lot of people. It's the stain of Bobby Jindal. That's Look, I was glad we had a Republican governor. Could Bobby have done a lot better in certain areas? Absolutely. But I don't agree everything with Donald Trump, and I love Donald Trump as a president. Yeah. But we're always not going to agree. But at the same time, that shouldn't put a stain on you, because Bobby Jindal at the end of the day was the governor. You wasn't.
Yeah, no doubt. I was a staffer, man. Look, if I win as governor, don't think for a second my staffers are going to run around here telling me what to do. I mean, I'm running to be the CEO, and whoever wins this race, I'm hoping they're running to do the same thing. If anyone's running to let their staff run the show, shame on them. I mean, that's not what I'm going to do, and that's not what Bobby treated me. I mean, Bobby was a well-educated, hardworking guy who had his own beliefs, and trust me, if anyone thinks that I was in some secret corner, like telling him what to do, they don't know Bobby very well. That was a dude that stood on his own two legs very, very clearly. So, but look, I was a good, hardworking team member. I served this state well. If you talk to people who worked with me back then, they say the same thing. I mean, people who are in the know, who are around the Capitol, they know clearly the role I played, what I did, and all that stuff. And that's the truth. But in campaign, sometimes truths can get, masked and camouflaged and all that stuff. And my opponents have done a good job trying to do that, but not good enough. Because I tell you, there's a lot of people in the state growing with our movement. They're really liking what we have to sell, and I love the momentum we're building at the late stages of this campaign, which has always been our plan. Look, our view was we're not the career politician. We haven't been in office forever. We're going to have to really kind of go through the good old-fashioned sweat equity to get our brand out there. So I've been traveling around the state, meeting people, and we knew that September was going to be where we started our surge, and October was where we're going to have our launch. And we feel that happening right now. And so, look, we'll find out good, bad, or ugly on Saturday. But I'm proud of the campaign we've run. I'm proud of the career I have. And I'm proud of what I stand for, which is I am a conservative guy who believes in conservative policies, but I also believe in providing solutions for people. I'm not a soundbite guy. I believe in going in there and fixing problems for people. Louisiana is not losing companies and families to other states because we're bad on soundbites. We're losing people because we're bad on solutions. And I want to bring solutions to the table. I think I got a good track record of doing that.
But with that being said, moving forward, if you're fortunate to get elected on Saturday, what are a couple of things that you want to push on day one? Because I remember hearing you speak at the RPEC meeting a few weeks ago, and you made a comment about restricting some of the power of the governor. And we talked on length about constitutional conventions and everything like that. But, besides that, I would like you to touch on that. But besides that, on day one, what's your main focus?
Yeah, look, there's three big things you got to tackle on, and people don't realize this about a governor. Your first big challenge is an HR challenge, human resources challenge. You got to hire people and fire people and do it quickly. And there's so many hires to make typically what you see a lot of candidates do is they just go out and look, oh, who's my buddies? Who's someone I know? I'll just throw them in jobs. That's the worst thing to do. You got to take the time to go out and look all across this country. You need to find the most innovative, conservative, policy-oriented, solution-oriented, ethical people and put them in those roles. And so I'm going to do that. I'm already preparing for that. I want to make sure we have the right team in place to run all these agencies to do all these efforts that I know are going to be bold. The second thing is there's an affordability crisis in this state, and it starts with insurance. And so I want to call an insurance special session as soon as I get in there. And the incoming insurance commissioner, Tim Temple, myself, have already been talking. You got to go in and attract new insurers to this market. You got to fortify communities to make them safer and manage water better. And you got to tackle legal reform and this excessive lawsuit culture we have with everything you got. And that has to be a special session. It has to be bold, and it has to be quick. The third big thing you got to do quickly, I think, once elected is I want to start an outside audit of every agency in government and have someone come in and really scrub the books and give me the good, the bad, the ugly of everything we're doing as a state. So if I can find efficiencies to reduce that taxpayer input, I want to do it. If I can find programs working pretty well right now, but we need a little bit more, policy change or a little bit more dollars from existing revenues, I want to shift some of those dollars over. Or if I can make efficiencies and reductions, I want to do that as well. But I need a third-party audit to come in quickly so they can find those savings everywhere across government. So hiring the right people that have conservative values and the ability to implement in an ethical way, special session on insurance reform to try to lower those rates as quickly as possible, and doing an audit on every agency to make sure we can find savings everywhere we can. That's the near-term kind of 30-day plan I want to get going as soon as I get in there.
And by predictions, you should have a majority Senate and possibly a supermajority House and legislation coming up because, we interviewed some great people that's running for state rep. We interviewed Blake Miguez, Alan Seaball, and a few others that are running for Senate. If they get in there, you should have a headway to get all those stuff done.
Absolutely, man. Look, I think the state's going to have a supermajority of Republicans on the House and the Senate side, and I think you can have a Republican governor. That's something we have never had before, and people forget that. You want to go back and talk about that first term of Bobby. People forget you had Democrat, control all over that place. That the House had a slim Republican margin, and then the Senate had a Democrat majority back then. That is not the era we're going to face right now. You're going to have control up and down. It's tremendous opportunity, but it's also a tremendous burden. You can't waste this opportunity. We've been waiting for decades for this moment. We can't screw it up. And that's the big piece of going in there. So I want to make sure I do that right now. Another thing as a candidate, I would tell you, look, elections get spicy, man. I mean, look, you know how it goes. And right now you've got Republicans battling for the same spot and this and that. I want everyone to know if I get in there, I'm bringing everyone together. I'm sorry, all right, guys, all right, gals, look, that was a spicy election. Good for all of us. Now we're all on Team Louisiana. Let's go in. Let's work together. Let's find solutions. Let's put the people first. Let's get it done. And so I think even the people I'm running against right now, and I know downstream in the legislature, you got a lot of races that are Republican on Republican. Whoever comes out on top, it's imperative for us to get together, put Louisiana first, hit the ground running. Because if we hit that first year or two and we show the people of the state that we can take this opportunity of having Republican control in the Capitol and use it for solve problems, man, they will give us all the air cover in the world and they'll support us to go get more done. If we spend the first year fighting over old election battles and bruised egos and all that garbage, then the people are going to look at us and say, y'all weren't ready to lead. You don't deserve my support. I'm not going to let that happen under my watch.
And that's one issue we have going into this election. Look, this governor's election, I know you're a candidate. You probably see a lot more than I do as a commentator, but it hasn't been that bad of mudslinging this election. I think a lot of Republicans understand that, if we mudsling, we lose elections. Yeah. And Wags, if you win, or if Jeff wins, or Sherrod, but y'all guys got to come together and y'all got to go ahead and look, like you said, it's not for Republican, Democrat, it's for Team Louisiana. We can't let another Democrat get in there for another 4 years.
Amen. Look, I'm 100% there. You don't have to convince me on that. Now, I will tell you, it's a little easier to say it hadn't been that spicy of election when it's not your kids watching attack ads on you on the Wheel of Fortune every night. I got to explain to my kids a lot, like, hey, don't worry about that, guys. It's no big deal. But like, as a candidate, that's coming. So I'm kind of joking about that. But look, I got into this race not because I hate anyone else or I dislike any other person or I want to go like, exercise some old vendetta. I don't care about any of that crap. I'll be honest with you. I care about Louisiana. I think Louisiana's dying economically. I think we're losing our families, and it irritates me to no end. So I do have a lot of passion and I do have a lot of emotion on this. But it's not because I dislike other people. It's because I dislike where Louisiana has been allowed to drift. And I want to put it back on course. And I think this is the best opportunity we've ever had because you're going to have the supermajority of Republicans in the legislature. You're going to have a Republican governor. You've got a Southern economic boom going on around us. Look, in the post-COVID era, what's happening is individuals and families and businesses around the country, they're leaving the crazy states. California and New York and Illinois and states like that, they're losing people left and right, and they're all moving south. Texas is gobbling up California. Florida is gobbling up New York, and Illinois is going all over the place, especially in like Nashville and some of those other areas. Louisiana needs to be a vacuum cleaner state too. And so this is a great opportunity for us. So I'm in this race because I don't want to miss this chance. So if I'm lucky enough to be elected governor, part of my mission is to bring all Republicans together, get us on the same hymnal, let's go roll and make big change. If I don't win, part of my job is to remind myself while I got in this race. And I got in this race to help fix Louisiana any way I can. I'm going to do my part with whoever's in charge and try to help them any way I can to make sure we don't miss this opportunity.
So with that being said, I want to ask you two things that I would hope if you get elected, you would go ahead and touch on. One would be our elections, because we just talked about the mudslinging and stuff. Wags, I think that would stop if we had a closed primary system. Now, I honestly believe that Louisiana's election system needs to get fixed. I understand why Republicans pushed for the jungle primary back in the day, because it would help them win. But now it's the Democrats have figured out a way to get around that as well. Do you want to fix that as governor? And also, because Louisiana has the governor has more power than any other governor in the country. And like I said, I talked to you privately about this. I hope you don't mind we discuss this on the podcast.
Yeah, go for it.
What would you do to restrict some of that power and maybe even give some power to the lieutenant governor? Because all the lieutenant governor has is tourism.
Yeah, so two different questions. One, on the closed primary system. Look, I think I agree. I think I would support going to that, but there's a caveat that I have now that maybe I didn't have a couple months ago. And if you look in this cycle, what happened right now? The state party went into a closed room way early on. They decided who they wanted, and they pretty much decided they were going to oppose and, let's be honest, attack any other Republican who wanted to run. And so right now, I'm not asking for a thumb on the scale. I'm not asking for the state party to come out and say I'm the best thing since sliced bread. But what I am asking is to embrace Republican concepts, and free markets are what we stand for, man. And right now, the party is not allowing the free market to work. They're coming out and criticizing me and Sharon and John and others just because we want to run and share our ideas. I'm so old. I remember when Republicans used to believe in free markets and expression of ideas. And so I'm cool with a closed primary system, but the party's got to agree to let that party system work. Because if you have a primary, man, and the party goes into a dark room a year in advance and says, well, we already know who we want, what's the good of having a primary? So that's not fair. And so if the party wants to, allow for a free market of ideas, then I'm good with it. If they want to keep trying to, go into a dark room and select a winner in advance, then I got a problem. We got to talk. That's kind of my view on that.
Well, what I look about it as this, though, Wags, is this: if we have a closed primary, it leaves it up to us, the voters. You get what I'm saying? It would be, hey, look, we set up, and look, let's put it way early to where there's no bad blood. If we have some mudslinging, people forget about it.
I hear what you're saying.
And leave it up to the people.
It's hard when a lot of people, they're just living their life, man. They don't do politics for a living. You do a podcast. Your average person, they're going out and working in the oil and gas industry. They're coming home. They're trying to kind of hang out with their family before they fall asleep and do it all over again. They just got to know. And so when they pay attention, if the state party kind of is talking to them saying, you know what, forget all these other Republicans out there. We went into a dark room and told you who to support. That's not right.
Yeah,
and so I think if we're going to go to a closed primary system, the party should say, look, we're a party that's growing. We got a great number of awesome candidates. Kick the tires on all of them. Give them all a good look, and then pick the best one and go into a runoff. I'm cool with a closed primary if that's the way they're going to approach it. And I think that's going to be good for all candidates because it puts pressure on all those candidates to compete with each other and be better finished products at the end that are ready to lead. So that's why I think on that front. On the second piece, on the office of governor and the power, Look, I'm a big believer in this. I think for years we have depended on governors to come in and be Superman or Superwoman, and it's just unsustainable. And the good states don't do that. If you look at Florida and Texas, for example, they don't really care who their governor is, to be honest with you. I mean, the truth is, you could put basically a box of rocks as governor in either one of those states, and those states are still going to grow because their power is local, their dollars are local, their business structure, their politics, their solutions are local. I want Louisiana eventually to get that way. So I think some of the things you do is right now the governor has too many power of these boards and commissions and appointments and all that stuff. I'd like to unwind some of that. If we can do away with any of those, let's do away with them and just let the free market work. A lot of these boards and appointments have been kept over the years, not because it's good for the economy, because it's good for political power. I want to kind of decentralize as much of that as possible. And I want to appoint people to these boards that, like on the higher ed boards and others, qualified, high quality people that are ethical, put them in their job and let them do their stuff without my micromanagement. I don't want that to happen. The other thing is over time, I would like to push as many resources as I can down to the local level. And instead of having local mayors and others who have to go hire a lobbyist and run to the Capitol, let me just go ahead and push those dollars down. Like, I'm tired of hearing recovery dollars that the feds appropriate go to the state, and then the state agencies sit there and sit on them forever and ask for paperwork and ask for all these, like, oversight over local governments. I hear it all the time. In my administration, I want to push those dollars down to locals and then let the local government respond to their local people on whether it's being used the right way. Let the local government respond and be responsible to the federal government on that paperwork. The state should be a pass through to the locals and let local. I'm a big believer. If you're a conservative, taxation and spending closest to the people is the best way to make it responsible. And so I want to push that down to the locals as much as possible.
And that's how it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to. The federal the state government shouldn't rely on the federal government, and the local government shouldn't rely on the state government. That's how I believe that's how our founding fathers wanted
Look,
it.
there's a role for all those entities, right?
Yeah.
But like, if each of them tries to be too much of the daddy, it just gums everything up. And right now in the state, we have tried to be involved in way too much economically, family wise, school wise, and we just got to like get state government out of people's hair as much as we can and let people control their own lives, let the economy kind of control its own direction a little bit. And look, I'm not saying the state shouldn't regulate certain entities and make sure we're doing right things on emissions and transportation, all that stuff the right way. We got a public safety duty we have and all those things. But when it comes to the economy, and when it comes to people controlling where their kids go to school and how their kids are raised and what their kids, the type of, curriculum and ideologies that go into their children, I trust local families more than I trust any bureaucracy or corporation. And so the best way I can do that is get government out of the hair and let families take control of the state. I think that's what Texas and Florida does pretty well. I think we should copycat that from that mindset.
We should do what's working and not do what's not working, because unfortunately, we 50 at everything bad, 50 at everything good, and first at everything bad. So
that is very true, my friend.
So Wags, at the close of this segment, I would like to ask you, if you're talking to a voter that is considering you or says, hey, I don't know that much, tell me a little bit about you, where they can find information, or what do you tell them for Saturday as they go vote?
Look, real quick on me, man. Look, I've had a lot of different jobs in my past. You probably hear a lot about it, but the truth is this. I'm a married guy with 3 sons, and I'm worried about my kids leaving for other states. I'm running to put solutions to make your life easier to live here. I want to lower the cost of living for you. I want to fix your insurance crisis. I want to put public safety in your area so you're not scared to go out and about. And I want to make schools more of a workforce preparation place, not an indoctrination place. And I want to empower you to control this state's future. So I'm kind of the anti-politician. I want to go and make it harder for politics to mess up your life. And if you elect me, that's what you're going to get. If you want to learn more about me, my background, where I stand, my website is wagsforla.com. wagsforla.com. I'd be honored to be your governor out there. And look, learn more about me. All the other candidates compare us. And I know there's a lot of Republicans and conservatives that listen to this. I would tell you this. Look, if you vote for me on this Saturday, what's probably going to happen is if we get enough Republicans voting, you'll have a double Republican runoff. I think there's a very real possibility that me and Jeff can both get in this runoff. I think that's a good thing for conservatism. Yep. Then we can all spend the next 30 days, kick the tires on me, kick the tires on Jeff, take a look at both of us, make the best decision possible. I've never asked for a handout. I just want a fair shake. And if you put us both in the runoff, man, Republicans are going to have the ability to have their cake and eat it too. So if you vote for me, all it does is going to give you 30 more days to compare me and Jeff. And I think that's be good for conservatism, good for Louisiana, and good for where we want to take this state.
Stephen Waguespack running for governor. Wags, hope maybe the next time I talk to you, I can either call you governor-elect or we could talk about the runoff, man.
One way or another, I'll be glad to come on anytime, man.
Yeah, maybe if you get elected, I won't get criticized for wearing your hat next time. So
maybe wear it backwards. You know, that's the way to do it. You know?
So you want to hear a funny joke on Brothers Just Searching? Because sometimes we do the show on the same evening, and I wore a Blake Miguez hat, and producer LB was in the studio, and he looked at me and said, "Really?" I said, "What?" So that was one of the only times I wore my hat backwards for a Bible study. It looked like I was a gangster studying the Bible. But
see, I like all these guys, man. All these guys I'm running against and all that stuff. And look, Blake's a guy. Look, he's endorsed Jeff. But look, Blake and I get along great too. Look, at the end of the day, conservatives, election time is for fighting. Governing time is for getting together. And at the end of the day, it's imperative that we all get on the same page. Louisiana's future is too important for infighting to get in the way of solutions.
And you know, going back to what you said, if you and Jeff get into a runoff, that would be the best of both worlds, because we would know for sure we have a Louisiana Republican governor. We wouldn't have to worry. Oh man, we hope Pothole Wilson just barely scratches through. You know.
Well, he's probably stuck in traffic somewhere right now.
Maybe so. Maybe so. But Steve, thank you for coming on, man. And again, we hope to hear from you on election night, and we'll be seeing if we call your name into a runoff.
Sounds good, man. Go fight, win. Love it. Y'all
All right.
going.